Welcome to our demonstration on the VMware vSphere host lockdown mode. Lockdown mode helps secure vSphere hosts by restricting direct user access. Lockdown mode requires hosts be managed from the vCenter server, thus ensuring the security roles and policies implemented in vCenter are used and enforced. There are two ways to enable lockdown mode. One is from the vSphere web client, and the other from the direct console user interface. To enable lockdown mode from the vSphere web client, select the vCenter server and navigate to the list of hosts. Select the host, then go to Manage, Settings, and Security Profile, and then scroll down to see the lockdown mode. By default, lockdown mode is disabled. To enable or disable lockdown mode, we click the Edit button. Here we can select the checkbox to either put the host into lockdown mode or take the host out of lockdown mode, and then click OK when done. To enable lockdown mode from the DCUI, we access the host console. Press F2 and log in with the user that has admin privileges. We select Configure Lockdown Mode and press Return. Use the spacebar to either enable or disable lockdown mode, and press Enter when done. Now we'll demonstrate how lockdown mode works. We start by logging into the DCUI as the user admin01. Here we see that admin01 is able to log in directly to the host console. Note that when we log on to the DCUI, we are bypassing the vCenter server and accessing the host directly. Next, we will remotely log into the Esxi shell using SSH. Again, we will use the user admin01. Remember, in order to log in using SSH, the SSH service must be enabled on the host. Here we see that user admin01 is able to remotely log in using SSH, again bypassing the vCenter server. We'll now enable the lockdown mode. From the vSphere web client, we select the host and go to Manage, Settings, Security Profile, and then scroll down to Lockdown Mode. Click Edit and select the checkbox to enable lockdown mode, and click OK. The host is now in lockdown mode. Returning to the DCUI, we'll again attempt to log in as admin01. Notice that this time, we get a message that the user does not have permission to log into DCUI. This is because the host is now in lockdown mode, and direct user access is no longer allowed. Lockdown mode also restricts remote access from SSH. When we attempt to re-log in using SSH, we again see an access denied message. Should a host that is running in lockdown mode ever become isolated from the vCenter server, administrators can become locked out because they would be unable to manage the host from the vCenter server, and at the same time, they would be unable to access the host directly using the DCUI or SSH. To avoid getting locked out of a host that is running in lockdown mode, we use the DCUI access list. The DCUI access list maintains a list of trusted users who are allowed to override the lockdown mode. To add users to the DCUI access list, we select the host and go to Manage, Settings, and Advanced System Settings. Type DCUI.access in the filter. Here we can see that the user admin02 has already been added as a user that is allowed to override the lockdown mode. We can specify multiple users in the DCUI access list, but we should limit the list to a small number of highly trusted users. Returning to the host, we again attempt to log in as admin01. We see the login is denied because the host is in lockdown mode. We will now attempt to log in as user admin02. Here the login is successful because admin02 is a member of the DCUI access list and is able to override the lockdown mode. Lockdown mode helps secure a vSphere host by restricting direct user access, requiring hosts be managed from vCenter server. In the event that a host that is in lockdown mode ever loses connectivity to the vCenter server, users who are members of the DCUI access list can override lockdown mode. This prevents users from ever becoming locked out should a host become isolated. This concludes our demonstration on the VMware vSphere host lockdown mode. Thank you.